There's this sad story trending on social media about this young, beautiful girl called Shanquella Robinson in Charlotte of North Carolina, United States. A black American girl, 25-year-old, an only child, at least to her dad, because I heard him say that in one of his videos. And this young girl is well to do. She has a breeding business, doing quite well for herself, very affluent. You can tell from the looks of things that she led a very shielded life, very protected life. Her parents made sure that they kept her on the straight and narrow, which is why she's ended up as successful as she is. Now, she's invited by a friend called Khalil. Now, this Khalil guy was actually in a group of other friends and kind of invited Shanquella as, an outsider to the group that was coming or joining the party, going to Mexico on holiday. Except a day after arrival, Shanquella Robinson is found dead. And the friends flew back and left poor Shanquella's body back in Mexico and flew back to the States. And there's all these things about them saying that she died from alcohol poisoning, alcohol overdose, and it actually turns out from the autopsy reports that she died from spinal injury, and that the autopsy revealed that her neck was actually broken, and that's what killed her. The reason why I'm talking about this whole thing really has to do with friends. And I say this because I feel that a lot of times we use the word friend very loosely and call anybody that we're acquainted with a friend. I definitely used to be like that. I'm a very outgoing, heartwarming, easily embracing person. Uh, the life and soul of a party. I love people to bits. And I just have this heart for humanity. And because of that, I'm always a soft target and always taking advantage of. My leniency and my kindness has always been a weakness. And I also know, and I'm not going to make any apologies for it, that I was raised in a very protected and shielded life together with my siblings. We were not allowed to dabble in many things. Ours was to focus, get work done, do your homework, study, and be in your bubble, in your protected living with your parents and close relatives and loved ones. And that was the life. And yes, growing up, I was very rebellious of this whole, feeling like you're caged and in a prison almost. I just wanted to let loose and go out and be with everybody else down the street, doing what the other people were doing. But unbeknownst to me, my parents were actually protecting me from something. They knew the terrain in which they were, they knew the upbringing they were giving me, that I just simply wasn't very understanding of what was going on. And I wanted to be out there and doing what everybody else was doing. And this is the story here, with this poor Shanquella girl losing her life so tragically at the hands of so called friends. Now, the whole thing is that because this Shanquella girl was very affluent and had money, she was only brought into the whole thing to pay for the trip, to pay for the villa in Mexico. And all the other people had to do was just buy their own tickets, which from the States to Mexico is not a lot of money. Actually, if they lived in Texas, it would have just been walking across and getting into Mexico. But they were in North Carolina, so they flew across. And getting their villa paid for, it looked like she probably footed the bills for everything. And some of this is pure speculation, but it doesn't seem to make any human sense that the most affluent of the whole group ends up being the one that is 6 foot under. Doesn't make any sense. Now, It gets there, and there are videos about her being beaten by one of the people in the group while she was naked. Now, being Mexico, the sorts of things that go down when people travel to Mexico, I wouldn't know unless I was there why the victim had to be naked. Maybe they were all naked at a point. I actually think that there was a point where they went out and had a naked party. And because the people in the group had all come up with this plan that they were not going to return to the States with her, it was all part of the ploy to embarrass, humiliate her because of the videos that they took that somebody happened to leak that's now all over social media of a naked woman being beaten up and she not fighting back. You see, when you're brought up in this prim and proper, shielded, protective life, the parents tell you not to fight anyone. You can't do the ghetto stuff that the street kids do. You have to be prim and proper. You have to behave yourself. You have to live your life a certain way. But I'm saying in this day and age, based on the experience I've now come to have, when somebody hits you, hit them back. Yeah, you can't just allow people to get away with anything and rub your face in the gutter just because. You must fight back. And this is the thing though. A lot of us think that people that we have strike acquaintances with, whether they're people that come to you for some kind of a business venture, whether they're people you work with, whether they're people that you go to school with, or whatever happens to be your commonality, that every Tom, Dick, and Harry is your friend. At least being on this social media space, I've come to realize that I've annoyed, pissed off a lot of people for reasons that are even unbeknownst to me. Like I'm just this ordinary village girl minding my own business and living my life, speaking my truth on my own little corner, on my own page. That there are gazillions of pages out there, but this little space of mine that Mark Zuckerberg has pitifully given me that I speak on, people still they jealous am. This humble little servant face here, people still they jealous am. Like I don't understand. I am not occupying your space. I've not taken anything from you. You don't know me from Adam. And people are still jealous. People say all kinds of outrageous things in the name of friendship. So my darling, if you're listening to me and you think that because everybody follows you around, people say what you want to hear, people tell you what you want to hear, they make you feel good, you have this wow feel good factor. And so the people that are all around you, like the noise all around you, means that you have friends. You better think again. Because a lot of the people that are in your life are actually there because they want something from you. You serve a certain purpose, especially if you're filthily rich. You are serving a purpose. There are very few people that are actually in your life because they mean well and they care about you. Very few people. The richest people are the most loneliest of people because 99% of the people coming around them are not coming around them just to hang out with them, just to be their friends, just to be there for them. No, they all have ulterior motives for being around you. So my darling, if you know that you were raised in a shielded, protective home so that you can focus on your studies and make something out of your life, I beg, make you go find some other children where they do the same thing like you did do. Because at least you guys can all understand each other on your level. Know your level, know your lane, and stay in your lane. Trying to meddle in waters that are murky that you don't understand is some of the things that lead to the unfortunate demise of our sister Shankwela. It's a very sad, tragic story. It's actually triggered me because I could very much see myself in that particular situation. And now, being the age that I am very, very protective of my space. You just cannot trust anyone. On the face of it, you just think that you're this happy-go-lucky, quiet, humble, minding your own business person. But the person sat next to you sees what you don't see, sees the glow that you are not seeing, and they are just annoyed by the fact that they couldn't have been the ones that could afford the villa. And Shankwela was the one splashing money around and paying for everything. That was enough to annoy people. It wasn't Shankwela's fault that they were poor or not coming from a privileged background or were street kids. But when it came down to it, it was Shankwela's fault that they hadn't made anything of their lives, and she became the sacrificial lamb to be slain. And she paid the price with her poor life and hasn't returned back from Mexico back to North Carolina, where her parents are in anguish wanting answers. And I know everybody who's watched their videos and listened to the news about this whole story that has been around. Shankwela died the end of October, 29th of October 2022. So it's almost going on to a month now. And all these friends have disappeared into thin air and thinking they're never going to be found. But you see, the evil that men do lives after them. And I hope that these people are brought to book and justice. There is something that went down, and that something has to be revealed. There's so many different lines that you can draw. So many parallels that you can draw from this story. But for me, let's even put the teenagers and the young adults to one side. Even as an adult, this could be a story that can happen to anyone. Anyone who is free-spirited, anyone who has a good heart and thinks that the next person sat next to you has that same good heart. Because I know, because that's how I'm wired. But increasingly, in these later years of my life, realizing just how bad people are, wicked animals, people having animalistic, instincts in them, I am keeping my circles smaller and smaller and smaller as the days go by. I will much rather sit in my cave and have my peace and have all the things that make me happy and excited all around me and have my peace than be hooking around and swinging around with people that you know nothing about and don't know nothing about you either. And just your appearance, just by seeing you alone, is enough to get people all wound up and capable of committing such atrocities against you. This could be anyone. Could be me, could be you. Know your lane and stay in your lane. If you've never done drugs before, if you never hung around with street children and you want to hang around them, make sure you have experience. Don't go dabbling in murky waters that you don't even understand, like you don't understand the terrain. And you go swinging and you go meddling in things you do not understand. That is the first thing. Any parents in the house that have young teenagers and young adults that think that the world belongs to them, because young people these days just don't have the ability to discern and make wise choices, especially when they're in that teenage year. They think that their friends are everything, like their friends give a toss about them. Sometimes they have to have the experience the hard way to understand what the parents are saying when they say them to them. As a parent, you can't shield your children forever. Whether you like it or not, like a bird, they will fly at some point. The only thing that you can do is to at least make sure that you give them the tools and skill set that they need to survive in this crazy, wicked world of ours that we have today. that somebody can be beaten to death just because they're more affluent and have money than the other people in the group. Like, she was brought onto this whole travel trip thing to Mexico just to pay for the trip. She pays, and yet she still wound up dead. And the only thing you can think is maybe somewhere along the line, she woke up and smelled the coffee. And so, how comes I'm paying for everything? Because she agreed to pay it in the first place, got there and decided to pull back and change her mind. It cost her her life. If Shankwela had stayed in North Carolina and meddled with other children like her who lived in their own bubble, Shankwela would probably very well still be alive. You see, when you meddle and play with people that look like you and have the things that you have, and you're all very similar, there's very little opportunity for anyone to still feel that you have something on them that is going to make them do the things that these people have done to Shankwela. Know your level, understand your terrain, and stay in your lane. As I'm sat here right now, and I'm not saying this to shame anybody, but I've never had before. I know that I'm not going to dabble in that as a wannabe when I've never done it before. Shankwela had no business whatsoever with this group. She didn't know the other people too well. It doesn't look like. I don't even know whether she'd ever hung out with them before. All she got sold was the trip to Mexico. She must have thought it was going to be fun and exciting. But fun and exciting is what has cost her her dear life. So please, parents, advise your young people. Let them understand why you've given them the shouldered life that you've given them. If that's the, model that you've chosen. And at least make your kids streetwise enough to be able to make decisive decisions and learn to trust their instinct, because the instinct never lies. And when you see and you're playing with people that don't look like you, don't do the same things that you do, and make you do things that you otherwise wouldn't have done just because you want to fit in and have friends. These are some of the things that happen. And this especially is an advice to young people, because they are the ones that do this. I hang around teenage children a lot, so I know what I'm saying. A child that you think you know so well, that is so obedient and such a lovely, cool kid, will suddenly get into a group of teenagers her own age or his own age, and the sort of behaviors and attitudes and things that they'll be exhibiting. You wonder whether this was your same child that you had, or because they're fighting so much with this whole hormonal stroke, peer pressure, and wanting to fit in and not be a misfit thing. And sometimes the end result is the tragic loss of a human life. Somebody might say, oh, but this life could have been saved. What could the parents have done differently? She was an adult in her own right. They can say all they want to say, but if she still chose to do it anyway, nothing they could have done about it. Shankwela's story is very triggering for me. It's made me so upset. I was lying in my bed trying to nurse a migraine, but I just had to get out of bed and say something, because it's so sad. It's so tragic. It's so painful that this is how the story goes. Be careful of friends, Be very mindful of the people, acquaintances that you're calling friends, because the people who truly are your friends are the people who don't question, the people who are with you through the good times and the bad times. Money or no money, they're there. When you're crying, their shoulder to cry on. When it's time to celebrate you, they're celebrating from the core of their being and they're truly happy for you. Those friends are not many. Those friends are few and far between. If you're fortunate enough on life's journey to have one or two of such friends, don't joke with them. Hold them close to your heart because you're so lucky. Very few people find even one of those kinds of people in their whole lifetime. People will pretend and do everything just when they want something from you to get what they want. And sometimes you be actually flabbergasted by the thing that it is that is making somebody else jealous of you when you are not even aware of what it is and looking at yourself as this little duckling in a pond. Understand your terrain and be very wary and careful of friends. Follow this whole Shankwela Robinson story, and I hope that it draws parallels for you. It teaches you some humbling lessons. It makes you wake up and realize that not everybody who smiles at you, not everybody who heaps and hails praises at you is a friend. A lot of people are just opportunistic people that are looking to take advantage, to use you. That Carlisle guy was a user. He only invited Shankwela to this party to pay for the party. They had no intention of hanging out with her. They didn't like her for whatever reason, and I'm sure the truth will one day come out. But for now, this is just a story about friends. I was just passing by to warn somebody who has ears to hear me. You dey hear me so? You dey hear me so? How many times have I said you dey hear me so? You could now make sure that you know the person wey dey gallivant back and forth, wey they call your friend. Make sure you know them well, before you dey call them friend and be doing all sorts of things with them. And people are so close to so-called friends, they share towels and sponges and everything, this, that, and the other with a so-called friend. Sharing your innermost, darkest, whatever secrets with them. Sleeping in the same bed with them and allowing the people to occupy all your private spaces. We human beings, we run on energy. Make sure you are comfortable and conversant with the sorts of energy you are allowing into your space. Polluted energy doesn't allow you to be able to do anything. Don't allow anybody to kill your destiny before it even has the chance to be burst for anyone to see. As I said, I've been beaten one too many times by so-called friends, and so I know what I'm saying. Been there, done that, on a t-shirt. Just be careful of the so-called people you allow into your space, the so-called people you open your heart up to, tell all your secrets to, and think that they love you enough to keep it. Let there be trouble in paradise, and that is when you will really, truly understand whether that person was a friend in the first place. How many times haven't we seen people share secrets and keep each other's secrets until something happens and they're ready to spew it all over the place just because they fell out? Know who you have as your confidant. Yeah, sharing confidential things with in the name of friend. No. So that you avoid this atrocity that has happened to poor Shankwela. Her parents are absolutely distraught. Her dad is in pieces. And mom, I just feel so sorry for. This could be anybody. Could be you. Don't think you're above the law. It could happen to anyone. Advise your children. And you yourself. I hope you are taking a feather from Shankwela's cap and giving your own self a few things to think about in your head. I have. Be very, very careful. Beware of friends. The same people that you're calling your friends today are the same people who seek your downfall, who want your head on a plate. The same people. Yeah, they betray you, they stab you in the back in the dark. Beware of friends. Beware. My name is Sika. I love you so much. Follow Sika Educates. Subscribe on YouTube and follow on TikTok. I love you so much. And all the handles is still Sika Educates. Thank you so much for everything. I love you. Peace out. Bye.